You're now tuned in to the hottest podcast in the world, the Stay Woke Podcast, right here on the SonicBreakdown.com.
Man, it's time to wake up. Get this cake up. Only thing I care about.
Welcome back to another Stay Woke Podcast. This is D-Ray Brinson. And you know the Stay Woke Podcast is presented by the SonicBreakdown.com. So head over there and check out our reviews or our articles right now. And today is going to be a new music segment. And for this new music segment, we have a guest that's been on several of the podcasts. Actually, he's not a guest anymore. He's fan of the podcast. We have Trav coming on for another new music segment. So thanks for coming on for another episode, man.
Yes, I'm in the building with the families, Trav. I'm in the building. Definitely in. Let's get it in.
And you know I had to get Trav for this one. And for all of you out there, y'all will know what album and what artist we're talking about. And all you got to do is say is Push. We're talking about Pusha T. Pusha T's album, Daytona. And as a lot of you out there might have known, or for those who don't know, this is going to be the first of 5 albums that Kanye West is exclusively producing. He's producing all of these albums for his label, Good Music. And Pusha T was the first one to be released. It is a 7-album project that clocks in at 21 minutes. Before we get into, the content and everything like that, I was really surprised. First of all, I did know about that, Pusha was coming out with an album. He's been talking about it for a while. My understanding, it was supposed to be called King Push, but they changed the title for reasons that we'll get into possibly later. But that it was 7 songs. I definitely thought it was going to be longer. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to be longer.
Because it's been like
7 songs.
It's been like 2 or 3 years since we got an album from him. So
yeah, 2015, right?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, 2015 was his last joint.
Yeah, so
yeah, I thought it was going to be a longer album. I definitely did. It's kind of almost like if you hear 7 tracks, you think of an EP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you hear these 7 tracks, you're good with the 7 tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you're good. Like you hear these 7 together and how they rolled out.
Yeah.
It's no problem, man. Seven's a good number.
Yeah, and I think it was Pusha explains why it was 7 albums, and it makes sense. Pusha explains it as, the album was going to be a lot longer. He bring all these songs and all these tracks to Kanye, and he basically was like, nah, we're not going to go with that. I can produce them better. We're going to produce them. So Kanye produces them. Kanye throws them out because he's the executive producer of the album. And so he's pulling tracks and fine-tuning it down and tailoring it down and stripping it down to kind of give a more streamlined, condensed album, which I think he achieved. I think because that to me is another component in art of being able to understand when enough is enough. An artist, if you're painting a picture, if you put too much paint on it, it loses its form. It becomes no longer a picture. It just paint on a board, or the colors will blend so much that it becomes black. So you have to know when to pull the paintbrush away and say, that's enough. I don't need to put any more highlights. I don't need to add any more to this painting. It's good. It's perfect as it is. And so I think that's what they were trying to accomplish here. And and for my feelings, I think it was just the right length. What about you? Was it too short, too long, or just good for you?
It was just good for me. Like I said, when you saw it, that the track list was only 7, and you heard it was only 7, you're gonna think you're gonna think that it was gonna be too short.
Yeah.
But the way the album we connected with each track, 7 tracks was perfect, man.
Yeah.
For this project, it came right.
Yeah. When listening to it, oh, go ahead.
Huh?
I said when listening to it, it feels longer. It feels longer than 7 tracks.
Yeah, it does, because it goes in. It's like full-length songs. It's not short at all. Like none of these tracks are short. They're full length, and they all sonically connect with each other, and it came out to be a perfect for 7 tracks.
I definitely Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's start breaking down this album a little bit. Which tracks were your favorite initially? Let's start with initially because I know like with every album, your feelings and your favorites change as you listen to it multiple times. But what was your initial favorite track when you started playing
The games we play,
it? Yep. Yeah.
definitely,
Ding,
definitely,
ding.
definitely, definitely.
That production, man, it hits so.
Sickening, man.
And I can't see anybody else on that track but Push. I just the way that it's formulated, the way that it's stripped down, the way that the production enters and it leaves space for Push to come in. It's just it's like perfect for him. I literally I can't see anybody else being on that track and fitting as well as he did.
Yeah, he definitely connected with that chick way to a point where you don't want to hear it without his voice.
Yeah, yeah.
And that beat is so sick, man. Kanye did the thing on that track, man. That's a sick ass beat.
As you began to listen to it more, which track started to rise to the level of the games we played for you?
It's a hard question for me.
I'll say for me, it was if you know, like the first track.
Oh yeah. That one. Yeah. Okay. I can see where you're going with that. I can definitely see where you're going with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I first heard the album, the one that stood out was the games we played #2. Like I said, instantly before any word is spoken, when that first beat, dun, 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 it's like, oh shit, we about to some.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
already.
That shit was.
And then when it just boom and it just hits, so that yeah, that was initial same thing like you. And then after listening to it a couple of times, none of the tracks were bad. It's just that was the one that stuck out. And then if you know, that stuck out later. That rose to the top. And then hard piano again for me. I really enjoy the track, and it's interesting that this being a 7 album track, there's only 2 features. You can't really
Yeah,
have
that's
more than
decent.
two. Yeah, you can't really have more than 2 features on a 7 track album.
Nah, or you gotta be real short with features if you got a short album.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they're
you got
taking up
to
your talk time,
Yeah.
your content time. Before we move on, I wanted to address the cover, the album cover, because there's been a lot of
Oh,
controversy and a
man.
lot of talk regarding that. When I first saw the album cover, I mean it's clear what it is. It's before you found out that it was Whitney Houston's bathroom moments crime scene in essence when she died, you could just tell that it was a addict's bathroom. At least I could tell that it's an
Yeah,
addict's
from the
bathroom.
rip.
Now people that aren't as familiar with addicts and people dealing with those afflictions might not have clued in, but or I mean, shoot, if you've seen The Wire, like,
Word.
but so initially when I saw the cover, I got the concept and I got how it related to Pusha T, and because if you listen to Pusha T, you know what his content is, but don't let that pigeonhole him. Because that's surface level listening. He talks a lot more than just cocaine and drugs and drug trafficking.
Yeah, he definitely good.
He talks a lot more than that, but that's kind of the vehicle at which he uses to get people to understand. So then when I found out about that it was Whitney Houston's bathroom picture, before I go into how it made me feel, what did you feel about when you found out where that picture came from?
It blew my mind. I'm like, she was going through it, you know what I mean? But like just to see the level of like the addiction, like
Mm-hmm.
the character of it, and like she was so in that zone, like damn, like that's a hotel's bathroom. It's not like your house, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like if that was your house that you lived at, you kind of get it. Like, but that's like a week stay somewhere or a couple nights stay, and you flip that bathroom into like your addict's at home bathroom, like at
Mm-hmm.
the house. That was like, damn, she was really on it, like she was really on that addict zone like that. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? You knew from the rip what it was when you saw it,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew that it was, and you knew that was a real person bathroom. You
Yeah.
could tell that wasn't that they set up the fucking album cover like they had like shit set up with props to do a picture. Like you knew this came from like a living person, attic, frat house, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was too real.
Came from real elements.
Yeah, it was too.
And
It's
I
too
thought
real
that
to
was
be
tricky,
staged. For me, my initial feelings about it was, wow, if I were Whitney Houston's family, I wouldn't be able to look at it. And it just brought me to that idea of, let's say there is physical copies. A lot of people don't, people don't really buy CDs now anymore. The physical copy, some people do, but it's rare. It's more rare. But let's say you're Whitney Houston's family member and you go into Best Buy and you see that. Like, what do you think? I would just think it would evoke a lot of sad, angry, frustrating emotions. So,
yeah.
so I went that way. But then the next thing that I did go through was, well, what would be the purpose of using this as a cover? What there has to be something, beneath it, a message or something that you're trying to obtain besides shock and awe. And what I came up with was, it's something that we talked about on I think it was a Just Blaze Rapture discussion, where we were talking about people holding people up to these pedestals, holding them up on these pedestals. Well,
yeah.
Just like you said, you didn't realize that it was that bad. I didn't realize it was that bad. A lot of people didn't realize it was that bad for Whitney, but the fact is she died. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it had to be that bad for you to get to the point where it kills you. You know what I mean? But the reason why we don't think it was that bad is because the way that the media portrays her, the way that we treat our superstars, we treat them as, they don't do anything wrong. They as, that they're perfect, that they're impervious from doing anything harmful or whatever, as well as we also put a lot of yes people in front of these people. Because if she had more no people that are saying no to her, there's no way her bathroom would get to that level. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. Like, to me, that picture shows it's an encompassment of enablers, because somebody allowed her and enabled her to get to that point. And a part of that guilt or that blame pie that you would have to give out is we're responsible for it too, as fans, as society, because before she died, we were talking about, her having a problem for a while, but literally nobody was doing nothing about it. If we really cared that much, we would have, if we as a society, and I'm not, pointing the fingers at anybody individually, but if we cared about as much as we say in a society, we would have stopped giving her attention to kind of help correct those actions, just like we do with anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we didn't, because she's a superstar. She's a star. All we cared about is as long as we continue to get that music. So,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that is kind of how I internalized it, as I still think it was kind of crass to put that picture up there as the album cover. But if the intention was to highlight and to showcase that we should not be holding celebrities, even myself, Pusha T, Kanye, to these levels that we are, it wouldn't allow it to get to that point where we can feel that we are gods, we are impervious, where we can do whatever we want and there is no repercussions. So that's where I took it.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you, man. Absolutely. You put on a pedestal. You know, a lot of people that get put in the light of being a status and artist. You don't look at you hear these things, you don't really look deep into it and look closely enough, and just to see that, man. I mean, now that I think when I really look at the cover now, it's like that's part of her soul right there. That's on that bathroom, a troubled part of her soul.
Mm-hmm.
That now you're gonna be reminded of every time you look at the album cover. Like before that, you would just think it was like a trap house or some other kind of addicted or fiend's bathroom. But now, when you look at the album cover, you're gonna see that Whitney's troubled soul that was captured in that picture on that album cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now every time you look at that, that's probably going to run. I mean, to me, that's probably going to run through my mind now. I'm not really sure how the family feels about it.
Yeah, it's basically a reminder of a cautionary tale. This this can happen to you if you go down this route, and or we can allow this to happen to others if we continue to enable them to do it. And so that, I guess that's the only positive that I can take from that cover. And it does fit Pusha's content.
Yep.
Because
indeed.
On the flip side, because that's the other thing, is people think that Pusha just glorifies the drug trade. If you really listen to what Pusha says, he always keeps it balanced. He keeps it balanced.
Yeah,
Yeah, we get all these good stuff. I've been doing this. I move all this weight, but I've seen people die. I mean, I seen horrible, horrendous, horrifying things. That does it really make it worth going through all this other stuff? That's up to you to decide if it's worth it. But he doesn't just glorify it. He gives you both aspects to it. At least that's what I pick up.
Yeah, he definitely does. He lost a lot. Took like a lot of sacrifices for this. Even in real life, like he talked about in 2009, his whole camp basically got indicted and locked up.
Yeah.
Like none of his original people that he came into the game with, besides his brother, maybe Pharrell, but sort of like his home base team and people, his road managers, they were all from his hood and all out doing street shit and pitching and hustling. They all got indicted and snatched away. So those are the dark parts or the down parts of the game.
Yeah, the loneliness the loneliness he felt when that happened.
Well,
yeah.
So it ain't just about making money and getting all this paper and getting whips and fucking with the baddest chicks and jewelry and chains and it's also the incarceration, the death, having customers be like somebody loved ones, family members, and shit being addicted to the shit that you out here pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a flip coin in that kind of life, man. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely have to balance. Now, people think he does be up here talking all this Escobar shit, like talking like he was fucking Al Poe, Rich Porter, and all that shit. But nah, he definitely tells you the flip side, balance sides, motherfucker, Pusha T.
Yeah.
Even though he do a lot of drug talk, it's the way. It's not always what you talk about. It's how you like. It's always it's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you do. It's how you do it. And I mean, like I do complain now with these young cats coming up when they're simple minded. All they talk about is getting high and drums and trap and shit. Yeah, that's true. And a lot of them are corny because of the way they deliver it. Now they do it, but Pusha's always done it in such an artist way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, that's
a picture.
That's the other thing about it too, is it's the elegance in which he gives the delivery. He's not just saying just words. Like, he's really crafting how these words are coming together, because you can't come up with the similes, metaphors that he's coming up with and not pay attention to it. And that's what, as you said, that's what separates him from those other artists that we're talking about. That, yeah, they do talk about drugs and drug culture, but they're just promoting the drug use. He's giving you the entire view. He's giving you that entire aspect so that you can make an informed decision. It's like with anything in life, you need to get as much information as you can so you can make the best decision. If I tell you I'll give you $1 million right now, of course you'll take it. But if I tell you I'll give you $1 million, but I have to cut both of your arms off, you're gonna have to then rethink. You're gonna have to rethink about that. You have more information. You can then make a more informed decision. Like, that $1 million might not be worth it. You know what I'm saying? But you have all the information to determine what's best for you, and that's the key difference that I see with Push. And one of the things that you brought up, how you were talking about the devastating aspects of it, he talks about that on Santeria with his road manager, Day Day, getting stabbed and killed. So showing that balance and how it affected him, not only because in other tracks you get this confident Pusher that, like, man, nothing fucks with me. Like, I just that confident, but then he'll give you songs, like I said, that keeps that balance of Santeria, where he's like, no, man, I hurt too. Like I've gone through things. I'm hurting too. I have to figure out a way how I'm gonna deal with this pain, how I'm gonna deal with this loss, these things. Which again goes back to what I was saying about that balance, which I think is important and key.
Yeah, he definitely balanced it out, showed you flip sides, man.
Yeah.
Painted a perfect picture like an artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's the between just being a rapper and an MC. You know what I'm saying? He's an MC, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, master of ceremonies, master of his of crafting. You know, his craft. You know what I mean? Showing you his art in an artistic way. He ain't just out here just fucking rapidy rap. You know, you know, just putting tracks out on some fucking tap dance and shit. He out here you know, he out here making fucking, you know,
Masterpieces.
project.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really working on that craft. What I wanted to ask you as well is about the Rick Ross feature. What did you think about that feature?
And I always like to hear Rick do features with people, man. Rick Ross, he knows how to gel with people, and Pusha T is one of the ones that I haven't heard them collaborate a lot. I want to say this might be either my first or second time ever hearing them collab. I want to say that. I think I might have heard them when Kanye was doing that. What's that shit Kanye was doing a couple years ago with the Friday thing?
Oh, the Cruel Summer. The Good
Friday.
Good Friday. Yeah, from the Cruel Summer tour Fridays. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right. Right. That's probably the first thought. That's probably the only time I heard Rick Ross and Pusha T might have been on the same track or something together. They do. I mean, I know the other tracks I just can't really remember except that time and this time. I thought it was dope, man. You know, Rick Ross is another guy that you know delivers well and makes well projects. You know, and always makes good music. I thought it was a dope track. You know.
Yeah, I did too. What reminded me, and I didn't think about it until I saw the interview with Pusha T and the Breakfast Club in regards to Rick Ross, and he was like, they asked him why he got Rick Ross, and he was like, Rick Ross is one of the people that I can always send it, and he always comes back. I don't have to worry about it. I know he's gonna come back with it's gonna be on content. It's gonna be similar content of what the song's supposed to be. Because we talked about that before too, is how sometimes you'll have a feature and they not even talking about what you talk what the song going about. They just giving you lines, and it's not matching the feel of the song. But he said that he never has to worry about that with Rick Ross. And I started thinking and going back in my mind of all the features of Rick Ross on other people's projects, and I can't think of any feature where I didn't feel that Rick Ross complimented that feature. Which right. I think is a test to his skill and quality. I think people, which made me think, you know, Rick Ross is underrated. I'm not gonna, and let me clear this out for everybody now. I'm not saying Rick Ross is top 5 dead or alive. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
No, I just make
he's better than I think people actually give him credit for. That's all I'm saying. People say he's good and stuff like that, but I think he's actually better than that because of what we just said. Yeah, for him to be that, for him to feel in track or consistent when he's on other people's features and consistent with their theme, that requires a level of skill. Because as we seen, everybody can't do that. So
the artist skill.
Yeah.
True artist.
Yeah. So that I felt like we needed to bring that up because I didn't think about that until this project made me think about that.
You know, making good craft projects and features, being able to execute ideas quickly in the age of sending tracks. Like, you know, when we was coming up, you know, people were in the studio at the same time together.
Yeah, so you can feel that energy.
You actually heard what other person was spitting. He was in the same room, so he was able to just get a track sent to him and able to just execute as if he was in the same studio as the person. Exactly.
Build off that. Yeah, so, again, shout out to Rick Ross, Maybach Music. Let's talk about now let's get into, we're almost getting closer towards the end of the album. And Everybody's been waiting for it, but we're not quite there yet. But let's get into the Kanye West feature. What did you think about that Kanye West feature?
It was funny.
Poop scoop.
Yeah, Poop the Scoop joint. That was funny the way he responded like that, but he then also gave you bars. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Played with that. How do you respond? Yeah, you know,
Poop.
Poop Scoop. Like, but then he gets the bars though. Then he
Yeah.
actually gives you bars
Yeah.
after that. So I think, you know what I mean? Like, he actually, you know, he went in, gave you some bars. So I thought that was dope. I thought it was a dope feature, man. Again, aside of all the shit with the Trump shit and all that, at the end of the day, Kanye's Kanye when it comes to this MCing it and when it comes to this producing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give it. I mean, it's still there. You know, so I just knew that. You know, I knew what Push he wasn't gonna play around. Like,
Yeah.
if you gonna get on the track with Push, he ain't about to do. He ain't about to do what he gave y'all them last two singles that he threw out. I know you can talk about the one with T.I., about the previous ones.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to. I mean, he's with Push. He ain't about to play around with that. He about to give you some bars. It might not be something so crazy, but he gonna give you. He ain't gonna fuck around. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with you. I thought it was you for me. I had to take it into and put it in context for when you hear lift yourself. The same thing I said when that track came out. And it fooled everybody because you listen to the beginning of Lift Yourself and you're like, oh shit, Kanye is back, man. The production this shit's fire. He's back. We got the soul sample, you know, Chicago Kanye West back. And then he hits you with the poopity scoop, all that. So you're like, oh shit, Kanye got us. But for me, in my mind, I was like, but damn, that production's still fired. I was like, yeah, fuck that poopity scoop lyrics. Like that was trash. But the production is fire. And in my mind, I was like, if he gives us this type of production for these 5 albums, the Pusha T, the Kid Cudi, Kanye collabo, the Kanye solo piece, the Tiana Taylor, and then the Nas album, Kanye is supposed to be producing all of them, every music on there.
Yeah, he did.
35 tracks. So
Word.
So when I heard Lift Yourself, I was like, if these 35 tracks are going to be similar to this type of production, oh, we're in for a good summer. Like this is going to be a real good summer musically. And again, I'm separating the artist Kanye, music producer MC from what we're seeing on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TMZ, all that. I'm separating those two. To me, they're two separate people. I don't agree with that Kanye, but the music Kanye, I would be dishonest if I say that the production that he's giving us, the production on Daytona isn't fire. That the production on Daytona isn't
shit is fire.
That's why when Nas said it's a classic, when Puff Daddy said, "Oh, he sees this as a classic," and I'm just talking about the production at this point. You can't deny it, and if you do, you're not being honest. You're not being real because the production, regardless, I don't care who produced it. It's good. It's good. And so I really enjoyed the fact that Kanye, as we said, he put that poopity scoop into context and made it funny and he made it a bar.
Yeah,
he made it a bar by saying, "What's your response?" Oh, okay. Yeah, and that would be that is a Kanye response, so it makes it even funnier in that regard. And then like you said, he does actually start giving some lines, which gives me hope that when we get his album and we get the Kid Cudi album, that we're not just going to get great production. We're also going to get lines, lyrics, concepts, real thought, and attention to the craft. I mean, that's what we're hoping. But
I'm hoping it goes that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can also get like that album that he did that was kind of spaced out. We can get another one of those.
The Yeezus one? Yeah, Yeezus.
Yeah. Was it Yeezus?
Yeah, I didn't like Yeezus. I'm gonna be real with you. That was out of all his albums, that's my favorite. Least favorite. I'm sorry, least favorite. Let me correct that. Everybody, I said least favorite. is Yeezus. The production on here is standout to me. The lyrical quality is standout. Push is giving you more metaphor, similes, anything you can imagine, wordplay, storytelling. it's all in here, but it's condensed down. Everybody's been waiting for it. Before we wrap it up, we have to. We'd be doing a disservice if we didn't talk about Infrared and the tracks to the tracks to follow this track. So, what did you feel about Infrared first when you first heard it, and then we'll get into the subsequent tracks.
Well, when I heard Infrared, I know he definitely had shots loaded up. He was taking shots. You know what I mean? I definitely knew he was taking shots. I know what he was talking about, especially when he said Nas wrote it, written by Clinton. Like, he was going in, just not being able to retire. Larry Bird, man, like, I knew he was shooting. And I knew that it was going to have to get some kind of rebuttal because he was just going in. He killed them lightly with that one. It was nice little, like, it was like he was at the funeral, like reading the eulogy or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, kind of.
And
you know what I'm saying?
And the beat. Oh,
the beat is sick. That's what made me think of the eulogy. Like, that beat is just like some, you know.
When you said eulogy, instantly, the female vocals, the sample, just started to play in my head. Yep. Instantly started to play in my head. I was like, oh yeah, it is like a eulogy. And the line that initially, because when you hear the beat, you hear the production, you're like, oh my gosh. When the production starts, you're like, whoo, you know what I meant. Infrared, you know what I meant. I was like, okay. And then the beat kicks in, and then he starts off, you're like, okay, he's got bars, and then you get to the line. It was written like Nas, but it came from Quentin. And you're like, oh shit. I was like, oh, shots fired. Okay. And then the subsequent shots for that is when the CEO is blinded by the glow is different. But myself and the Coles, I believe in myself and the Coles and Kendricks because it's been reported of the Cole Drake war. Not Cole, Kendrick Drake kind of war. Cole doesn't, as far as I know, he's never taken shots at Drake, but you get the impression that Cole's not infatuated with Drake as the rest of the world seems to be.
He's not. No,
not to say that he has an issue with Drake, but he's not like everybody else where it's like, if, as Stephen A. Smith says, if Drake farts, people going around saying it's perfume. He's not in that crowd. So I just thought that was interesting as well, putting that. And then the line that really got me is, so I don't tap dance for crackers and sing Mammy. I was like, oh shit. I was like, damn. And that line became even more fitting later. But before we get into that though, when you first heard this and you're like, because he takes shots at Drake, there is a couple of shots in there, but it's not the whole track is not about Drake.
He took some shots at Wayne too, man.
Yeah, he's basically, to me, this is kind of, he's like, I got some shit to say, and here it goes. Y'all not gonna like it, but I don't care. And I've been holding this in for a minute because that line about Baby, it's a great line, and it's funny. It has every element in it. It's a good line. It has references in it that you can get easily. It's funny and it's witty. He's like, and it's like I killed a baby. Like the way that I was talking about Baby, you would think I killed a baby. That, because especially when you take that into context, because everybody in the world was praising Ross on Rather You Than Me when he went at Baby. Nobody had an issue with it. Everybody was like, wow, oh, that's great for Ross to do that. But, Pusha basically was saying the same thing. So why is it received differently?
Yeah, he's definitely right. He was mad. He was like, getting personal. He shouldn't be going at Baby like that at this time, this and that, and shit. And then when Rick did it, he executed it so well. We gave Rick for doing his props for it,
Yeah.
He definitely did it in a genuine place. He wasn't really trying to eat the bird then, but when he executed that track and he did come out and spoke about it, it was done in a genuine artistic way.
Exactly. And that's what
that was okay.
That's what that line, salute Ross, because the message was pure, is exactly what you're saying. Is
right.
Ross was it's like what we're saying, it's about, your intentions and how you go about expressing those intentions. Ross' intentions was, I'm concerned and I think this is messed up. Like you're affecting people I care about, that I personally have invested in. not money, but just feelings and emotion. And so I'm going to tell you how it made me feel and why I think it's wrong, which is nothing wrong with that. But I also can get Pusha's side of, I said the exact same thing. Just because I didn't say it in the same manner doesn't take away what my message was. So I feel him on that, in that regard. It was just an interesting dynamic of putting that together. This was a great way to end the track because we're getting bars, we're getting lines, we're getting everything that you want in hip hop. And beef is a part of hip hop. Lyrical competition, it's a competition. This is hip hop. And I mean, to me, I have no real issue with him taking shots at Drake in this regard, because especially when he explained it later of saying that for this particular track, Infrared, basically like there's levels to this, man. Like the same thing we do with basketball. We say, Michael Jordan, they're talking about LeBron being in the conversation, and then Kobe is always in that conversation, regarding of who's the best of all time. But then there's other people that are really good, but you don't still put them in that category. Like Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is a great basketball player. Nobody denies that. But nobody ever says, when you're having the Michael Jordan conversation, nobody brings up Magic.
No, they never do that. You're right. That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't take away, if you talk to anybody, that doesn't take away that Magic was a great player. So there's levels to this thing, and to me, Pusha is basically saying, I'm about this craft. I'm about these words. I'm about writing this stuff. So don't put me in the same category as somebody that doesn't have that same level of attentiveness to their words. Like, don't know, because we're not on the same page. We're in the same field. Yeah, we're in the same field, but we're not in the we're not in the same lane. He makes good music. Don't get me wrong. The way he formulates, the way he executes it, the way he puts it together, it's good music. But I make great lines. I make great bars. There's a difference, and I'm not talking about monetary success. These are the things that Pusha was saying, and I felt him, and I agree with him that there are levels and there are things. You can say Drake is a great artist, a great musician, da 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 da, but you can't say he's a great lyricist. You can't put, because then when you put him in, then you're disrespecting the people that do put the time into that craft.
Right.
I just thought that was interesting. And I'm not saying, and again, I don't know if Drake writes all his lines. I don't know if he doesn't. That's not from, but it's been rumored long enough, and it's been put out there long enough that it does feel like it has some legs to stand on. It does feel like there is some level of truth to it. Now, to what degree, I don't know. But there's never been any claims against Pusha. There's never been any claims against Kendrick. There's never been any claims against Joey. There's never been any claims against Cole. There's never been any great the people that we consider lyricists. Nobody's ever gone to Nas and said, "Oh, did you write that?" Nah.
He wrote his shit.
Yeah,
right?
you know what he wrote. You know what I'm saying? So that I feel like you have to take that into account somewhat. Again, I'm not trying to lambaste Drake. I'm not trying to denigrate Drake or anything like that. Like I said, I think he makes good music, but there's a difference. It's just it's the same thing. If there
are two different levels of MCs, man, and he's definitely not in Pusha's league as far as like lyrical combat's concerned, or just a lyrical beast to be able to be the aggression of the lyricism. He's not on that level. That's
exactly.
The bottom line.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And that's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that. That's kind of just where I saw it at. Now, so for everybody out there, if you don't know by now, I don't know where you at. You must be under a rock. But Pusha drops this album. We get Infrared. Infrared comes out on
Last Friday, yeah.
Then was it Saturday or Friday night that we got the Doopy freestyle? I think it was Friday night.
Yeah, it was Friday night. I remember me rocking out because I was actually off and I was at home, and I work at night, so I was actually off, just chilling and just listening to the Pusha joint, just going through the tracks and getting the feel of the album and rocking, going for a couple of rounds or listening. And then it happened. That's the let me see what's going on. See if the people talking about this album. And then boom, there's a Duddy freestyle. I'm like, Doopy freestyle. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, this motherfucker ain't wasting no time.
No time.
Shut it over there. And then I heard that, and I'm like, shit. See, that's the one thing about Drake though, and the people around him, whether whoever you writing this shit or if somebody isn't or not writing it, but isn't at all writing it. But when he get around Drake and he wants to respond to something, he's gonna have a nice production off the rip. Like this guy's gonna try to turn this shit into a marketing scheme to create like a record. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, oh shit, this motherfucker responded. The fucking production sounds right. I fucks with that production. That beat was dope. So I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. It's going down.
Yeah,
And,
that is one thing that Drake can't deny. He has a great ear for music, a great ear for production. He knows what production just sounds well. That is a gift that you can't deny. That is one of the gifts that he has. Where we've talked about other artists in the past that are great lyricists that don't have the greatest ear for production. People said that about Nas. People said that about Nas. Nas is everybody claims that he's at least in the top 3 to top 5 lyricists of all time.
Right.
But one of the criticism that he used to get, not as much anymore, is that he didn't have a great ear for production.
Right.
So
I mean, and he has some good. You definitely got some good joints with some production, even with Ether.
Yeah.
Like, since we're talking about that, right? Since we talk about the ballad and whatnot and production, I just want to bring up a point you said about you might not have the greatest production. Yo, when the shit popped off with him and Hov, and I heard Takeover, and it was like a fucking track, like a real like production, like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, they assembled the doors, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, and Nas came through with the Ether joint, and it sounded like he just ran in the studio. This is my first initial.
Yeah, feeling it.
I remember being there. I remember living through this shit. Like I remember,
Yeah, where were you at that point? Yeah, feeling, yeah.
Like I was right in it. So I'm like, yo, I'm hearing this shit. I'm hearing Takeover for months now. And I'm like, I'm cringing every time I hear the fucking songs going at Nas, and going at Mobb Deep. Everybody knows those are like 2 of my favorite rap acts, like, staples in hip hop. And I'm like, fuck, and you hear the doors and the don't. Like, oh man, this fucking the production's crazy. But then Nas comes back with Ether, and I remember being in the car by Uncle, God rest his soul, my Uncle Ray, and when the shit got premiered on Hot 97 live in real time, and I'm like, fuck, like, yo, Nas coming back with this fucking beat track, yo, like, what the fuck, like, yo, what's up with this beat? This shit don't sound up to par, and that was my initial thought. That was my initial thought when I heard Ether. I'm not going front. I definitely don't think about that now, but when it first came out, the premiere, I thought the beat was trash. I knew Nas was going. The lyrics was definitely lethal and bluesing, and it was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
For lyricism, but I did feel like the fucking beat at first was trash compared to Takeover. I'm gonna keep it 100.
No, that's all we want. That's what we do here on Stay Woke. We keep it 100.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I actually thought the beat was fucking trash. Like of course later on, I'm of course either something, you hear that beat now was fucking classic and it's on point.
Mm-hmm.
But in the heat of the moment, when you heard Takeover, production wise,
yeah, it was so clean.
Production wise, nah.
Yeah. Takeover was clean, but to me that kind of fit. It kind of fit both of them at that time. Because Nas was still gritty, even though like they both were on the same pedestal of relevancy and importance in hip hop. But Nas was still trying to keep it more gritty, and Hov was trying to, similar to what we see with Hov now, and not saying that Nas hasn't elevated in that regard, but Hov still wants to give off that image of superiority, kind of in essence of clean, polished, a complete product. Where Nas wants to keep it more some would say real, more authentic in that regard of more gritty.
Bro,
And
he just like he's the cat that's gonna run up, throw on any beat. I'm gonna go in.
yeah, he's like, fuck it. I don't care what it is. I'm just going because
Well,
and that might be the reason why he doesn't have the greatest ear, because for him it's not about the production. It's all about what you say. Yeah, it's all about what you say and how you say it. Where we've said it about Jay-Z prior, is Jay-Z is a more complete person. To me, these kind of debates is kind of the LeBron James MJ debate to me. Like Nas would be the MJ in this regard. MJ was a great scorer, great defender, the greatest basketball of all times, in my opinion. But he's known for being a scorer than a passer.
Right.
He's a more individualized player, where LeBron is more magic, more overall player. I want to elevate and bring everybody up so that we can kind of win, and it's not always relied on me. I am the focal point, but I'm helping elevate others, and it's more a polished product. That's how I see Jay-Z and Nas. Nas is, bruh, it's all about the lyrics. I'm gonna get this. Get yours off the glass. Get yours off the glass, because I'm putting all the shots up because I know I'm that talented lyrically. Where the production is his teammates. I don't care who these teammates are, because I'm gonna make us win regardless with my words.
No doubt.
And Jay's more like the LeBron. No, we need to get this good production. We need to make sure the marketing's right. We need to do all this to give a better overall, complete, polished product. So, and also going back to what you're saying in regard to Ether, I believe when they, from my recollection, and I have no facts to back this up at this time. I'm just going off of memory. But I believe when they premiered that the Ether track on in Times Square on Hot 97, was that rough draft of like Nas going in that night and giving it. What we hear now, I believe, is the cleaned up, polished, mixed, and mastered version of the production.
The studio,
So that also might add to why you feel differently about the production now, is because they did clean it up, fix all those messy audio errors.
Right, I believe so too.
So,
I don't think,
going back to the Drake thing though, I definitely agree with you. The production was for the Doopy or Duppy freestyle was. That could be on an album. That's an album cut, and Drake went in on Pusha. If he wrote it, whoever wrote it, because I'm not going to discredit Drake because I don't know. Whoever wrote it, whoever wrote it did a very good job. They made this competition a lot closer than I originally thought it was going to be. When I heard Infrared, I initially didn't think Drake would respond, and I didn't think he would respond because Pusha is not like these other cats that been going at Drake. He's about that lyrical swords. He's Sun Tzu, Art of War, all the time when it comes to these words.
Or he gonna dance with you.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed by Drake's, I guess, return or comeback.
Yeah, I caught myself like, yo, Push, you better respond.
Yeah, I remember. We had that conversation, and I was like, please, don't Meek Mill this, man. Don't Meek Mill this.
Yeah,
don't
Meek Mill it.
And so I was very happy that Pusha came back with a response, and that response was fire. Added on. Okay, thank you. Woo. As Pusha says, yuck. He did his homework. That's all I gotta say.
It's like a hit him up. It's like a hit him up and take over.
Yeah.
Kind of like combined shit right there. Like.
Yeah, he did his homework. He did his research and said, okay.
Yeah, word, man.
What were the best things from all the I'm gonna do a history 101 of rap beefs. What were the things that worked and what were the things that didn't work? And he basically took everything that worked and made it into a song, and that's what we have as a response for Drake.
Lethal. People are saying it wasn't fair.
No,
it's not fair. But
this is war. Everything's fair.
This is war, man. Like,
everything is fair.
I'm hearing a lot of that shit late. I'm hearing a lot of that shit right now, though, man. I heard it wasn't all that. I heard some shit. I'm not going front. Like I heard a couple of mixed situation with mixed feelings. I'm hearing people not getting the blackface thing. That bothered me though.
Yeah, I'm not. That was to me that was the most damning. The damning thing about it is the words, the bars, all that stuff, the character, the person. Well, let me rephrase this and let me say this. I don't think anything is off the table at this point.
Yeah, nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table at this point. And Drake kind of set the tone for that himself.
They should never mention Virginia Williams.
Exactly. When he mentioned his fiance,
somebody girl.
Yeah, that's drawing the line. Girl, mama, and babies. If you bring them in, then you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared of whatever comes back at you as a result of that. Now, if you don't want that smoke, as they say, if you don't want that smoke, then you don't bring those three things up. Moms, don't talk about nobody's mama. Don't talk about nobody's baby mama, girlfriend, significant other, whatever, and don't talk about their children. Those three things, everything else is open for war. I can say whatever I want, however I want to. And so, to me, that's Drake's fault. And at this point, it reminds me of that post that I put on Stable Podcast of, wow, this escalated quickly. Ooh, yeah, he knocked it up a notch. But the blackface, I agree with you. I think that might be the most devastating thing to Drake's career at this point.
It is.
At this point,
regardless
of if you take all the words in the song to heart and as 100% real, authentic facts, even with that is not as damning as that blackface.
Yeah, he fucked up with that one.
For I guess balance, I would like to say the statement that Drake released saying his explanation for the blackface. He said that.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, that was some bullshit.
What he said was that I don't remember the dates, but he said when he was younger, him and a friend of his that were actors they were making a movie or a show that was basically highlighting how hard it is for Black and people of color to get acting roles and jobs because there's not a lot of roles for people of color that isn't derogatory or in essence, blackface of them juking and jiving just to get the job. And so that it was supposed to be, the way he presented it's supposed to be a satire of that. I can't validate or deny that myself, but what I will say is the response or the explanation of the response seems pretty weak. For me, it's my personal opinion because, and the reason why I say that is because blackface is so polarizing and it's so the history behind it is so strong that you really need to be very, very clear if you're going to try to do something like that. The closest thing that we had was that movie with Savion Glover, the tap dancer. Yeah. But that even got a lot of pushback and they did it and they purposely were like making it very clear at what they were trying to portray, what the story was about, what the purpose of it was, of doing it. And they still had so much trouble with it. So I just don't understand why or how you would see that as being appropriate. And if it isn't, I just can't really make heads or tails of it. I want to, because I do believe we should give people the benefit of the doubt unless proven otherwise. This is really, all I will say is really damning. And it wouldn't be as damning if there wasn't other claims about Drake's character, I think. If his character wasn't so much in question outside of this for other things, I don't think it would be as damning because then we would be able to more full-heartedly feel able to believe him. Because let's put somebody else in this position. Let's say J. Cole would never do it, but if a picture of J. Cole doing that came out and he gave that same explanation, I would tend to believe J. Cole because everything we've seen from J. Cole has showed he has a strong character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if he says we were really trying to highlight and showcase that, Black people in the industry are getting kind of fucked over, I'm going to believe it because everything he's done from this point has been to highlight things about the positive things about Black people and not bring to light the negative things about Black people. You know what I'm saying? So he has a history of doing the right thing.
Yeah, he has a history of being consciously aware.
Yeah, that's perfect way of putting it. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Different. Right. It'll be different if you was to catch him in a photo like that. You knew probably if he said that was probably correct because you know that he has spent time on these subjects over the years
Mm-hmm.
and well, you know, and have had conversation and he's brought it to his art.
Exactly. That this isn't
His
something
music.
new.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this guy Drake doesn't do that. Like I haven't heard any song when he's anything about being a woke or
Exactly.
anything
And that's what
spiritual.
makes it so hard to
Like,
believe. That's exactly it.
yeah,
That's what makes it so hard to believe. We've never heard him say anything regarding being for or being a proponent of black movement in any regard of and deterring or stopping the negative stereotypes of black
right.
that associated with black people. So this is really new. And for him to say that he had this kind of desire so long ago, like to me, like if you had that desire so long ago, how come we've never seen something to validate
Yeah.
that moving forward? You know what I'm saying? Like when Cole's talking about, you know, the things of elevating his mind, he's been talking about things that might not be exactly what he's talking about now, but shows how he got to this point, that he's been evolving and moving closer and closer and closer and closer to this more elevated mental state where, again, this is the first time I heard anything at all about Drake doing something for black lives and changing the narrative around black and things of that nature. So it's just, again, it could be true. It could be true. Again, I don't know, but it doesn't.
I believe it might have been true, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure.
I just feel like we would have seen
Even if he
something
did,
else
though,
that
like,
that would continue to show, you know, I am about this Black Lives Matter kind of thing of being conscious and elevating the brand and because think about it, everybody we've seen, Donald Glover, people were saying that, oh, he hasn't been awoke, but if you really listen to what he's been saying since he's been in the light, you know, getting notoriety, he's always talked about that stuff.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From the beginning,
Drake has no
history with this.
any history though, zero, absolute zero. I mean, I'm like I said, like we both said, he makes good music. You know what I'm saying? I like, you know, I mean, especially when he raps, and he gets into his bars, he gets personal. You know, I always like the track that he's talking about life and this and shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, those are my favorite tracks from him when he actually goes in bars about life and shit like that. But and all of that, there's zero, zero music, zero conversation with him talking about any kind of things going on with the world, current events, the current state of race, the current state of struggle, movements, nothing conscious. He's not quoted not one person of greatness that help our people, you know, get to where they at now. Or
yeah, I can't even think of
no consciousness
even
at
a
all,
reference to Martin
bro.
Luther King quote like that. You know, everybody's made some reference to Martin Luther King, but I haven't even seen. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, nothing outside
There's zero.
of this statement in regard to this incident.
So, you know, for him to do that, to be caught with blackface on, and you know what this shit that I was going to say that before. It bothered me that when the picture came out, I had a few people that had to explain or try to like refresh their mind of how crazy blackface is, like the history behind it. That bothered me that I had to do that, man.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of people that just wasn't getting it. Like they thought it was just a funny picture of Drake, but look at
No. It has
like,
historic
yo,
references.
This is a
Yeah.
problem. Like,
Yeah.
I found myself having to explain what blackface came from and give brief history lessons to people about that shit, because people weren't connected. And it bothered me a little bit. Like, word, like I don't know what blackface is. Like niggas ain't like.
Yeah.
Or maybe people didn't want to think that deep, or whatever. Maybe they knew, but they didn't really try to like get deep into it. But yo, just the sight of the image alone with blackface, with him on it, all that kind of shit, just alone is just a devastating thing. It's fuck. That's a blow.
Yeah.
Super blow.
That image alone brought up so many emotions, as you said, and it is disheartening to the fact that you did have to explain it to people. But it is also a positive that a positive of this is that there are a lot of people that didn't know what that was, and that it did need to be explained to, and that they did learn. Hopefully, they learned something so that if they see that imagery again, they can then take a stand against it. But if you don't know, you might just think it's funny, ha 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 ha. But then when you understand the history behind it, then you can then
Yeah.
be an advocate to stop the ignorance of it. Of hey, no, this isn't funny, and this is why. This is why this isn't a joke. And Pusha T said it himself. He said the most you got to take it with a grain of salt as well, because he is the one that put it out. But he was like, that is the most damning thing, is I need him to explain that. That's what I kept on seeing. I think it was also the Breakfast Club. He called in the day that he released it, or the day after, I believe. And that was one of the things he kept on saying is, forget all this other stuff. We need to address this. And he even says it in the track. He's like, we're talking about character now. That is something I wanted to bring up before we get out of, because we have been talking a long time about this this Drake beef. But I did wanted to ask you about, now that we've kind of addressed the blackface and the image of Drake and the history behind that, I wanted to ask you about the content of the actual song. Again, like I said, I don't think there's any limits that Pusha crossed that he shouldn't have crossed. But I will say he did a lot of research, and he made it very personal. And the stuff that he said in there is right. It does speak to Drake's character.
Yeah, he said some lethal attacks on her, man, personally.
Yeah.
Nah, he didn't go, yo, this it's all fair love and war, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you know what I'm saying? He mentioned his Beyonce, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what the fuck? Once you did that, it's over. Like, now you go. Now I'm about to go in on you. That's it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Like, if you now, if you gonna shoot nukes, if you gonna shoot some shots back and you gonna respond, and you gonna bring up like Beyonce's, or you gonna try to discredit their placement with the record sales or ratings in their record labels, and you gonna go in like that, yo, be prepared somebody to come back hard, bro. Like, yeah. That's it. And I think Drake was sleeping thinking he was about to Meek Mill him. And I'm not taking nothing away from Meek Mill. I just didn't think he came back to execute with his response back.
No,
he should have.
He took that out.
You know what I mean?
He took that out.
So now it's like, that's all. But with Meek, he should have just came harder. But so once you do that, you cross you open up the door. You ain't crossed the line. You open the door and you open the battlefield up. So now, instead of you getting shot, you just taking little light shots with little handguns. Now we're pulling out motherfucking Gatling guns. Now it's time to go to the Gatling guns. You know what I'm saying? We put the little handguns down. We pull out them Gatling guns, man. You know what I'm saying? 50 rounds. Let's get it. 150 rounds. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
So yeah. So Pusha went in. He brought up the fact that he got that porn star or light. Wow, they said she was a light porn star. She wasn't really hardcore with it. And he had a baby. He has a baby with her, secret baby. That's a big blow because he's hot. He's not taking care of it. She came out. She's been around. It's been around, and people like kind of threw it under the rug. This story came out months ago. But people heard it. They thought about it for a few minutes. They threw it away because, a lot of this shit happens with rappers and entertainers when girls come out and say certain things about them being pregnant. Like, oh, shit. And then it goes away real fast. And the fans of his made sure it went away real fast. Well, Pusha brought it back to the table. Not only did he bring it back to the table, he got her name. He got Child's name. You know what I'm saying? It's like he went and found out the actual child his name, So, you want to talk about fiancés. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You out here and you made a porn chick pregnant. You got a son bomb. His name was Adonis. You're not taking care of him. You plan to do something, but you was going to use an Adidas press run to the world to show that, let them know that he's worth more than that. Your mom's unhappy. Your father left you at 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk shit. We can get into it. Your pops left you. Your mom was never married. She still can't find love. Your father running around here looking like Steve Harvey, trying to be like Steve Harvey, still in his swag. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Your number one producer, your number one producer, the man that creates your sounds on his last limb. That was a little fucked up. But I mean, like, yo, we can go.
I mean, it's fucked up, but like you said, it's all fair in love and war, and
yeah.
This just showed me that Pusha T is one of your friends that when you go to war, you're like, damn, I am so glad you're on my side. I'm so glad you're on my side and you for me, not against me. The same things that they say about Draymond Green. Since the NBA Finals are coming up, is teammates hate him. I mean, not teammates, other players hate him, but his teammates love him. So because he don't play when it comes to war. So that's Pusha T. The thing I do want to add on is the interesting aspect about it as well is I've heard, and I'm not, again, as people that have listened to the podcast before, is I don't really be big on following blog sites and things about that nature when it comes to what's going on in the artists and the celebrities, their personal lives. That's not really what I'm into. I like I said earlier, I like separating the art from the artist. I really enjoyed the art and the process of creating the art. And then I still hope that the artists are in line with the art that they're producing. But that's not always the case. And that's fine. That's part of life. But the things that I have heard about Drake prior, about his character is that he doesn't have a good character. He's not really loyal. He's selfish. He's all about Aubrey kind of things. Some of those things came back out with when Rihanna says that she doesn't talk to Drake anymore at all, even as a person, as a friend. Some of those claims came back up of, well, the reason why, because Rihanna talks to everybody. She's cool. Nobody really has any issues with Rihanna, as far as I've heard. And for her to say that about Drake kind of gave me some insight of that, maybe those character issues that people were talking about have some weight, that it is maybe substantial to it, something substantial to it for her to say that. And then you have this about the character and the things. And then there was other things that I heard in regards to when he was dating Serena Williams, and kind of the shady kind of things that he did with that. Again, none of these things, I don't have facts to validate them or anything like that. But when you take all that information, all these outside things, and then you add the things that Pusha just brought up, it goes, maybe there is some truth to those comments about his character. Again, I don't want to character assassinate Drake in any regard, but when you put that smoke out there, you got to be ready for the return. And hopefully Drake has a good comeback for this comeback. But regardless, it's beef and battles have always been a part of hip hop, and always I anticipate always will be, because it is a competition. And as long as we don't take it and keep it and having reverted back to how it was in the 90s, where actual lives were being taken as a result of these beefs, I think it's fine. But I am interested to see what Drake has to, because I don't know how you come back. To be honest, I'm thinking like, how do you come back from that? Like,
yeah, that's gonna be hard to come back from that.
Yeah, that's like if for the space players out there, he just put down the big joker, Pusha T. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the war still. I'm assuming that the war is not over yet. You know what I mean? I'm assuming. But if it is, I'm okay. I'm okay where it is right now.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's gonna come back from this, man. I mean, this is some. He's just gonna have to. And Pusha T called up and he said that on a Breakfast Club. And he called up, yesterday morning? I think it was yesterday morning. And he was like, "Yo, now, he has to. We want answers.
Yeah,
he has to answer these issues at hand."
Yeah, he's like, it's bigger than this rap stuff. Answer about this blackface. Like, that is the key.
You gotta do that. You gotta answer about the blackface thing. That's first and foremost.
And about that kid.
Then you gotta talk about this kid. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta bring these to the table and deal with these issues.
And that's not even. And that's not even addressing. That's not even addressing the point that he brought up on the first track, Infrared, about ghostwriting. Like,
right.
That's the lowest on the totem now, as Pusha said. That's the lowest on the thing. If you get, you got to answer about blackface and this kid first, and then go down some rings and get to, do you write your own rhymes?
I mean, you know, I'm curious to see what Kenny do and what Willie do to come back. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean, Pusha got way more shit up their sleeve.
Yeah,
everybody was bugging me when Drake dropped his track, like, oh shit, Pusha ain't gonna respond. A couple of days went by, whatever the fuck. And we see why he didn't respond right away. He has lethal hard shit.
He had some investigating. He had to tie up his investigation. Like, okay, well, let's wrap up this investigation so we can put out this report. The story of Adonis. That's the report that that he compiled. And Pusha said it on that same interview that you're talking about with the Breakfast Club, where he's like, you know, I still got more. I still got more. He need to answer this first.
Yeah.
We can't even move past. We can't even get back. We can't even get to the other stuff that I have. I got more. I got more receipts. We can't even get to those other receipts until you address this one. Let's wrap this one up first, and then if you wrap this up, I got other stuff to put out for you. So
he's well prepared.
Like my mama used to tell me all the time, you don't pick a fight unless you're ready to fight.
Word.
So Pusha did start this, but he started it with the anticipation that he's ready to finish it. So I want to say, first of all, thank you, man, Trav, for coming and doing this podcast. Man, it was a great discussion. We tackled a lot for this Pusha album. Definitely, I do want to do an episode for each of the five albums that Kanye is going to produce. So definitely
I'll lock in for that.
Yeah,
I'll lock in.
Cool. So definitely come back and check us out. Check me, D-Ray Brinson, as well as Trav out. We're going to try to knock out and give some insight on all of these albums that Kanye is producing. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, Pusha T's was first. We believe Kanye's is next. And then we believe it's Kanye and Kid Cudi's, then Nas, and then Tiana Taylor's. We'll give some insight on all of these. They probably won't all be as long as this one in particular because there was a lot to digest for this one, especially with this beef stuff. I don't anticipate the rest being as long, but we'll see when the albums come out. Hopefully they're going to be as fire, as great as this one, but only time will tell, and we'll find out shortly. So again, I want to say thank you to Trav, man. Again, seriously, I appreciate it. You know our motto: live, listen to some great music, and above all, love more. And we out.
Yeah, one.